Morning everybody, welcome to Thompson's Farmstead Adventures. Well, I'm out here in the water heater closet, and yes, I'm finally getting some work done in it. I'm going to go ahead and put up my corner bead real quick. I just have this section here, and here, and here, and that's it, you know, as far as corner bead, so I didn't need much. Had to go get my corner bead installer, which is this guy right here. I've got a couple of these guys. I haven't used them in a while. They work great. So, I'll be right back. Let me get this thing set up. See you soon. Alrighty. See how this works out. How this pans out. Yeah, last time I used this, oh, forgot my tape measure. Hang on. Alrighty, I'm back. Now the last time I used this tool here was in the furnace closet, where the water heater closet's at. But before that, 20 years ago or so. So it's not the tool, I just needed a bigger hand. One thing I wanted to mention about this Schluter/Curdy board. I started watching applications on it, right? Because I've never used it before. It's been out for like 20 years, and I haven't done a shower in about that amount of time either. So, anyways, I'm looking at all the fabric style membrane that they're using, and you know, they make their inside corners, outside corners, and all that stuff. And I'm just watching how some of these guys aren't applying that to their seats or to the drain pans as you step in and out, you know, of the shower area. What are you doing? Alone, just, man, won't leave me alone. He's like a dog, I tell you. I had a cat similar to him, but it was a female called Peanut. Well, I kind of named the other one Peanut out in the garage because they all have that tiger-looking thing. And I could whistle and call her, and she'd be like a dog running down the street, coming over to me. This one here is a runt, and he walks all lopsided because his head's something wrong with his head. His eyes, I mentioned this before, his eyes kick out on the bottom area, so they're, you know, an inverted V, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, get back to the Schluter-Curdy stuff. We're watching after a year of people installing this stuff because they're not installing it properly or taking the extra precaution. You can't rely on grout or mortar to be your waterproofing. you have to rely on waterproofing material for that, like this membrane. This stuff is super thick. I'm happy it's here. I'm going through that extra precaution of pouring my epoxy inside there, and then the cement all, and then after I get these few rows out and I put the curdy board on and I put that membrane down, I'm also going through the precaution of of coming back and epoxying just a brush coat on it as another sealer, because I don't want anything to weep through that curdy board. Even though I'm going to seal the snot out of this, I don't want to worry about it. You know, you guys go buy some of that, you know, the epoxy, and just apply it, you know, not generously, but lightly. And you know, it'll act as another sealer. I mean, heck, you got epoxy floors, epoxy countertops, all kinds of epoxy stuff, you know. So why not? And I'm going to be doing my shower pan epoxy once I get it to that stage, which is, you know, a lot of work, but it's a challenge for me because I've never done an epoxy shower pan before. So we'll see how it turns out. If it doesn't turn out nice, then it's coming out. All right, well, this is as far as I got yesterday in here. I'm not very fast at this. I don't do it that often, and since I don't do it all the time, and the older I get, the slower I become. You know, I do have some skill to it. It will take me a little longer than, you know, the professionals. Of course, those guys could have came in here and probably been out within 2 hours, knocking out this room, the patch on the over the tub and the other closet, you know, between setup and tear down, or setup and cleanup. But you know, doing it myself, it's hard for me to bend over and do all kinds of stuff. But it is what it is. Slowly getting there. Whole house is slowly getting there. All right, so I have a few corners, 3 of them, and about 4 or 5 vertical lines. So I'll get on that. And did get that one patched. So do a little sanding and clean up. This room here requires a lot of attention. So I'm going to be calling out, I'm going to probably, let me say this first. I have a hopper. It's been, you know, multiple years, like 20 plus years since I've used it. And, you know, in my younger years when I was doing not only HVAC, but home remods, kitchen remods, stuff like that, I would take on the responsibility and do it all myself. And I would have the patterns down and all that for the spray, for the texturing, you know. But over the years, you know, I grew to the point where I was hiring guys to get stuff done as I was going out and bidding more jobs. And then I went into commercial industrial and got out of the home remods. Still had most of the tools for it because I still did stuff here and there. But, you know, I'm diverse in multiple areas of the trades. I'm just not a professional, or I haven't perfected all the stuff in all those trades because I'm not in them daily, you know. So HVAC, you know, of course, I've been in my life since I was a kid because of my dad's company. And I was doing it, working in the shop when I was a kid during the summertime, sometimes after school at the age of 13. And then I went full time when I was 17 and been doing it ever since until I moved out here to Oklahoma. So just taking consideration, I'm going to be hitting 60. I have several physical issues with my hands and my body, you know, just my body from all the abuse over the years of fun stuff turning into accidents, you know, dirt biking, skateboarding, all that. And then just multiple years of just using snips and all that, you know, where my hands, my grip, just not there. So yeah, it takes me longer. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and peel off all of the old, you know, tape and pull the lights, get everything out of here. I'm going to patch the hole in, but he'll come in and texture this up. I'm going to have him do the whole ceiling, so I'm going to be taping off the whole area because I want him to come through and just put a whole new texture coat on the whole ceiling. The other area that gets forgotten is right through here. That is all from the low profile attic vents up on the roof. Every year, well, for 2 years that we were here, every time it snowed, that light powdery snow and the wind would blow up, and we've got some really pitched roofs here, but it would blow the snow into the attic, and so we had snow drifts all over the attic, and I've said this before, wherever that vent was at. So it would blow in and just kind of fall and settle. And that's what that's from, because there's a vent like 6 feet above this area. It's really low because this part of the attic is tight up there. So I have all these issues that I've had to remedy and figure out where they're coming from and build catwalks all through this whole place so I can get to all those vents and watch out for the existing fire sprinkler system, which is now out, and I replaced all the heads with lights. All the lines and all the heads and all that stuff are out. I have a video on that too. I had to look out for the existing water lines that I'm relocating because the water heaters were right above the bathroom here, and I'm putting one on each side, which I mentioned. You know, we're working on one of the closets now. And all the electrical, low voltage, you know, telephone and cable and all the other stuff, you know, alarm systems and everything. So I've had to notch out and take my time with the blowing and insulation to build these catwalks all over the place to be able to take care of all these issues. So everything takes time in this house, especially when, well, in some cases there's no permits, you know, but basically, this is a big house, you know. I mean, the attic is huge. You guys have seen that if you looked at the other videos. If you haven't, I've got more videos coming because when we get ready to run the water lines from point A to point B, which will be the closet, and you'll see how big the attic is. So I just wanted to add in this ceiling and that part over there. And we're slowly, you know, all this stuff takes time because we're not used to winter like this, you know. We lived in Riverside, our last home, and if we saw snow, it was on the mountains that were 7,000, 8,000 feet high, you know. Every once in a while it might get down to the 1,000-foot level, but it's gone within a couple of days. Here, we're not used to these freezes that freeze everything in your house, you know. And they are up in the mountains, they're used to that kind of stuff, but you know, they live up there, they go through all that. They get up to 12 feet of snow in a week's time or a couple of days, depending on the storm. Anyways, I just wanted to add in that ceiling in this area here and all the problems that came from it. So, you know, it's getting there. Finally got all the mud done, taped and mudded out. So now I just gotta let it dry a couple of days, let all the mess on the ground dry too. I'm tracking it. I'm just getting to my waffle boots. Let's go take a quick look. I got one more area to tape, but I'll show you why I didn't do it, because for one, I was running out of mud. This is the section here where it transitions. So I didn't put any tape on that yet because I wanted to fill in that void a little bit. So that way the paper itself, I'm going to fill it in one more time after this. Give it a sand and do one more coat. I don't want the paper to have like a little gap to it, you know? So this area here, I gotta let sit for a couple of days too, because it was still wet from yesterday. And well, can't sand it if it's wet without messing up the paper. Oh, look at this. Let the whole gang outside. It's cat and dog time. Hello? What are you doing? Huh? Little gypsy, gypsy, gypsy. Look at you. There's Reba. Reba, Reba. Gypsy, gypsy, gypsy. I tell you, Ruby, Ruby, Reba, and Gypsy attack Malone all the time. That's fun. There's little Ruby. Little Ruby. And there's little Harley. Yep, the gang's all here. All right, well, I'm gonna get myself set up to start chipping away the little bit of the 1.5 inch square tiles in that board area I was talking about, so I can get ready for that. And then I'm gonna try to get some more of that cement board out of those cracks. I'm gonna go down a little bit deeper. Just takes a lot of time. I really don't want to mess with the, I don't want to hurt. Maybe I'll just leave it. I don't want to hurt the membrane. I don't want to take any chances of tearing it. And the more I stay off my knees and all that, the better my back and hip feels. So, and my knees. So let me get in there and knock out those little tiles. Alrighty. Well, I'm in the process of removing these guys here, and every time I do, you see the moisture. In fact, see how wet that is? This tile just came up. There was a nice crack right through here. This is why I'm not worried about the blowout. Like I said, I'm going to be filling in with epoxy and my Cementol. And again, I remind you guys that Cementol is 9,000 psi. I put all epoxy over that, and then I go and grind down all these tiles just enough to scratch them up and kind of hit the grout lines and all that, so I can go ahead and put the Bondo on. Once I get the Bondo on, hang on a second. Jeez Louise. All right. Once I get the Bondo on, let it set, then I can smooth it out, and then I can go ahead and go as per instructions on doing the epoxy floor over tile, just like you would a countertop and everything else. So that's the way I'm going to go. It's going to take me a little bit because, like I said, one's hard on me. Two, I want to make sure that if I get to a point, I may just go, let's remove it all. I'm not really at that point right now, because I don't want to have to worry about dry packing it and working the slopes and all. But, the less I take out, the less I have to put in. And if I'm able to, save and reuse, well, that's more time and labor and money right there in all areas that I save. But like I said, it's just been a while since I've done this. But I'm looking at the moisture that's in there is from the wicking of the grout. That's why I don't want to do grout floors. I want to just do the epoxy. And once I epoxy everything in, there shouldn't be any leakage. There still will be moisture inside of the dry pack, but nothing you can do about that. There's going to be moisture in there anyways, That's why they have such a thick membrane, so it doesn't, if it's a second story, it won't rot out. But this is something for you guys to think about. As I'm going through this and testing, this is all the epoxy stuff, the floor and all that. I've done it, garage epoxies, and a couple of countertops besides my office. A couple of them before my office. Excuse me. This is my first shower that I'm leaving stuff in and then using epoxy. Excuse me again. This is my first time doing that this way. So anyways, I know based on the epoxy material itself, that'll work out good. The only thing I don't know is if there's going to be any separation because of moisture stuck inside of the dry pack. I don't know if the epoxy or the Bondo is going to separate from the tile. Shouldn't. The tile's down, it's in place, and it's hard to get off too. So I think the wicking action or the water that's inside of the moisture that's inside of the dry pack, I think honestly came from this corner here, which was the worst of all, because I had water over there. So I'm thinking this whole thing's kind of wicked up the water that got in here. And possibly that corner there, because this was the area. I mean, like I said, the shower had 6 heads in it. all 6 heads would go on for the thermostat in the valve, the mixing valve, to hit that 108 degrees that they had set on the controller. So all 6 heads would turn on, and that water's going everywhere, right? It's a waste of water. And then when it started hitting the temperature, they'd all start shutting off until it was left with the 8-inch, kind of like a rain shower. It's so high up. So with all that water going all over the place constantly, every time you take a shower, you know, that's part of the problem. Plus the lack of sealing and, you know, joints and everything. I mean, there was no sealing at all, no waterproofing. So I will take care of the waterproofing. So I'm looking at it, even if I were to put a new base down, it's going to have moisture in it, you know, no matter what, because you're mixing it wet, you know, or somewhat wet, you know, moist at least, enough for it to compact into a ball. Alrighty, well, got all that chipped out. Get it ready for getting it all cleaned up. Tomorrow, I'll work some more on the drain pan and clear out what I can down below. Get it as cleaned up as much as possible. I'm still kind of deciding, do I need to put some backer board, no, not backer board, but you know, blocking back there. Some areas are just too tight, but could always pocket screw them in if I want to. I think this will be it for today. I'll let both the closets dry for a couple of days. All right, today's Friday. I allowed this stuff to dry until then, and I'm finding the areas. So the areas that I had to put it on thick, it's still kind of a little wet behind the paper, but it's still sandable in the area that I need to get because this part dips in. No, it doesn't. Right here. Anyways, I'll work it. I got one in my corner trowels, so I can stay away from the actual wet part. So I gotta sand this area out and go hit and see what's going on out there in the closet, because it's been wet and cool, rainy yesterday. This morning, a bunch of fog. So we'll see if it's dried out. I had the door open, then I woke up yesterday and it was raining. I'm like, oh no, so I run out there, close the door. Luckily it just started to rain. All right, yeah, it's nice and wet outside here. Yeah, we're still a little damp, not a big deal. This area can be sanded, and I have 2 more areas in here I couldn't really get because I had to wait for this area to dry and then sand it, because like again, I'm not that skilled, and I had to pack some mud in here to give this some stiffness, because that's just tape going across here. So I'm going to pack that in there with some mud and take care of it, and then sand this part down here and whoops, look at that transition there. Sand it down, I'll put some tape on it. Everything else looks all right, man. I like the way the mud, when it dried, it sucked the paper in, which is better than sucking it out, you know, or pushing it out. best I can get right now. I still got 2 more coats to go. Slight little gappage in there. It's good. We have to spread it out. Probably go, second coat would be probably right around here with my other blade. I got a 10-inch blade. I go right about here, and then I take this one and do it right there and there. That'll be my 3rd sand, and I got some screws to the quick little touch-ups. I sucked in a little bit. But I'm going to switch over from the all-purpose to the lightweight now. See, I need to get another bucket. Okay, so I went in and grabbed my lightweight. Not much lighter, but it's still considered lightweight. Now, a friend of mine, Hugo, he taught me this here years ago. That you put water in the bucket. You know, what I do is I clean off the sides. You know, whether I have to use my putty knife or the sponge. And I clean off the sides. It doesn't matter if it hardens up here. It's going to soften and turn into a residue down there. But as long as you don't mix it up, you just pour it in lightly and then pour out the water lightly. Your mud, without, even if it has little cakes on the side, like if, you know, like these little pieces here, you scrape them off, drop them inside there, and your mud is ready to go. It'll stay like this, I think maybe up to 3 months. I remember I did it, and I don't know if it was 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. The problem I had is I had it by the front of the garage door. And so every time the garage opened up or was left open, the sun would beat on the bucket. So that's not a good thing. You know, and you know what happens when you have sun and water and stuff, you know, it builds an algae. So when I was getting ready to go use mine, and it was a while, I don't know if it was 2, 3 or 4 months, 5 months later, I can't remember. It had mold on the top. And yeah, it stunk, but I went ahead and I just took that mold and wiped it out with a sponge. And then after I poured the water out, I wiped the rim with the sponge, and then I just went ahead and washed out the sponge, took my putty knife, cleaned off about maybe an inch, because I still had like a half a bucket. So I took about an inch out all the way around. Anywhere that it might have gotten some, where the mold might have gotten into craters or voids. So I just took all that out, threw it away, and then, you know, took a nice big scoop, smelled it, you know, to see if it stunk. Smell went away. Everything was good. I was good to go, and was able to patch up some more stuff. So, you know, it works. Just don't let it sit for a long time, otherwise you just throw the whole thing out. But it definitely beats trying to repackage and keep all the air out while it's still in the box and the plastic, you know. This is so much better just using the bucket, because, you know, you can never get it airtight when you're using the original packaging. This is the best way to go. Just throw some water in, walk away. Good to go then. So let me get this here done. Alrighty, well, I'm done for the day. I've gotten as far as my body will let me go. I mean, I'm sure I can push it, but I've come to learn, and I'm doing stuff that I need to take my time with, and I can't do it in an 8-hour, 10, 12-hour day. You know, I'm doing it in a 6.5-hour day. So, yeah, I'm a little slow at this because drywall's not my favorite, man. I never had a love for it. But I'll do it. But it's going to take me a while. Not like those pros. It's all right. Yeah, my hips and back are starting to hurt more and more. So, I got to stop with the pain. I got all over me. So, I'm going to go ahead and wear these clothes again tomorrow because I'll have way too much mud on me in the next couple of days, because as long as it's taking me, yeah, it'll be a few days. Here's what I am doing though. I am taking my time and floating it out. I may not need a third coat. So I'm just taking my time. I'm using my corner trowel and just letting it, as it starts to dry up on me, I start feathering it out more. And I'm trying to just make it where I have less sanding and only 2 coats. Some areas, well, we'll see. Once I get that all feathered out up here, I may not need another coat up there. The reason this is so light is because there was a piece up there, you know, about maybe, what was it, 11 inches wide? So there was a seam right here. So I just combined it all together, kind of like this, but it was a smaller piece. And, well, doing it by myself. That's why I need a helper. I need a helper to clean my tools or whatever, and just kind of sometimes help me up. If I don't have a bucket nearby or something for me to grab onto. See, the right leg, I have to, if I'm on the ground, I have to put it up so my knee is out like this, right? But then I have to swing it outward. If I try to stand up straight, like a normal squat, my hip wants to roll out and pop out. So I have to swing it outward so it's facing in more. And then I got to push up on it, but I also have to have something else to grab onto or push up on. And of course the right one hurts like heck because I can't even get past 90 degrees. I can't even get to 90 degree. Let alone, try to do a 90 degree sit. When I sit in chairs, I have to sit with my leg outward. It's a pain. It's literally. Anyway, so that's it for today. I may roll this into 2 days. So I'll see you tomorrow.